Yeah, I don't know, Ian. I mean, I know you want an upgraded Quest 2, but we'll talk about that maybe after the show. I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of VR Download, a weekly show recorded live from the Upload Virtual Studios, where we bring you the latest news, reviews, comments, and interviews. But I don't say that anymore. Actually, this is our industry and technology show, which we do on Mondays. And there's another show that we do on Thursdays. Now, I saw some comments, and I'd like to clarify this. But before we do, let's just have the rest of the panel interview themselves or introduce themselves. Yes, interview yourself, Ian.
I could do that. I could pull that off. I could totally interview myself. It'd be like, just do a slightly different camera angle on myself for me asking the question, and then the other camera angle on me for answering the question. I could do that. Hi, really everyone. Could. Ian Hamilton here with my hand tracking and my Quest standalone. Welcome. And put some money in the super chat to buy me an upgraded Quest 2 because I only have this app.
Oh no!
And Medal of Honor installing on my Quest. Like, it's in the background trying to install to the system while we're doing this. And I don't know. Like, it already failed once, and I restarted the whole thing, the process again. So
Heaney, introduce yourselves, and then I'll discuss this with Ian.
I'm David Heaney, and I had the forethought to get the 256 gigabyte Quest 2, so I do not have this problem, and I will gloat about it all episode.
Okay. So Ian, before the show, says to me, I only have the 64 gig Quest 2. And this Medal of Honor requires what is the exact size of this game?
41 gigabytes. I was waiting. Heaney and I were talking about it. Like, I've got a screenshot on my Quest at the moment of like the storage requirements from the store, but like there's like a different amount that it needs sometimes to install than it actually takes up on your system. And I was waiting for it to install to check the actual amount it takes up on my system.
So the first thing Ian asks me is, can I get a bigger Quest 2? Because unlike Heaney, who thought ahead of time, as well as I did, Heaney and I are both sitting here with much bigger gigs than Ian has. Ian, you have gig envy. What you have.
You know what it was? I had to buy the strap for myself because I was so tired of getting the headaches from the stupid soft strap. And it was either, like, do I get a new Quest with the soft strap, or do I go and get the stupid old Quest with the limited amount of storage that can't store more than 2 virtual worlds on it at one time, and you have the better strap with that experience. And so I opted for the better strap with that experience.
So Ian says, what if we can get $250 worth of super chat donations in the show? Can he use that to go and purchase?
Can you cover the rest, basically? Can UploadVR cover the rest, the difference? And can I get my upgraded Quest 2? Yeah.
And I told him that I'm not. It's a non-yes answer. A non-affirmative.
That's a no.
Answer.
I called Kyle out saying it's a no, and he's like, "No, it's not a no. It's a non-yes." And I'm just infuriating, just absolutely infuriating.
So we're and then of course, the conversation led to, we need to save our fundage for headsets that are coming out next year, or maybe, you got another, Meta. I was scrambling for the name. I almost said Oculus, Facebook, Quest Pro. No, the next Meta headset, whatever it may be called. We need to save our fundage for that. And then you suggested the Apple headset.
Yeah, there's potentially Apples, and those Apples could be a couple thousand a piece, plus Quests a piece. And what I was suggesting to Kyle is, like, if these things come out, these are headsets that potentially us as staffers are going to be spending 1 to 2 hours per day, more than that potentially. I mean, like, we haven't asked anyone on staff to do one of those 24 hours in VR thing. Like, we'll think about it from time to time over the years. Like, what if I tried to spend a whole day in VR? And it's like as soon as you really process what you're actually asking of yourself, you realize that's a bad idea. And actually, like for the most part, other people aren't going to really want to see other than just sort of the horrific value of the pain this caused someone. And that's not something we really want to do to ourselves. But like actually doing work in VR, we've done that to ourselves for hours, even a full day, to do like extreme review testing. But like wanting to spend 2 to 3 hours is a completely different thing. And we don't want to like be in anything less than the best experience when that happens.
Yeah, I think once the good headsets, the better headsets, get on our heads, we could do like one of those challenges. Like everybody has to put their hand on the car, and the last person to let their hand off wins the car. So we could do that in VR.
Which
like the
headset
whole
dies
upload
first?
team.
That's an interesting test.
Yeah. That's but you know, obviously we'll have to be plugged in because battery life isn't going to allow us to do a whole lot. Okay, so this is all fun, and we'll get to all of that. And I'm not suggesting that everybody do super chat donations to help Ian fix a decision that he regrets now on the size that he got. Anyway, so we have just to get back to my point here. We have a Thursday show that is called the Gamescast.
Maths. I don't know.
Math. Yeah. So where is that show? It's on our YouTube channel, obviously, but in terms of podcast, does it have its own? See now, Heaney has no.
Heaney, at the precise moment, he was going to be the person to answer this question. Yeah, I think there are separate podcast pages for these that you can search for on the podcasting platforms. We also, I believe, have an interviews channel. But Heaney, how are our podcasts searchable at this point?
Yeah, you have VR Download, which is this one. You have VR Gamescast for our Thursday games and content one. And just search UploadVR interviews if you want a more focused interviews with the biggest names in the industry and developers that we find interesting. So there are 3 different streams. You can find them quite easily by just searching for the podcast name or UploadVR for the interviews.
Yeah, I think that's the generic thing to search for is just UploadVR.
Yeah, and Medal of Honor just finished downloading.
With or without a space?
Oh, no.
Are we going to have that conversation again?
Oh, no.
Yeah? Is it
Definitely
with or without?
We're not having that conversation.
Wait, is it XR or VR?
Is it MR? Is it mega reality? Is it meta reality?
Is actually virtual reality going to be the thing, or is it going to be something else?
I don't know.
Are we doing it? What's real?
Is the X extended,
is this
or is
the real
the
life?
X just? Is this no? Is this real life? That was a podcast back in the day. That was a podcast. ITRL. Is this real life? Those guys were awesome. I miss them. I wonder where we should get like an old school podcast reunion where all the old OG podcasters in the VR space, back when there was only one letter in front of the R, that would be fun.
You were there for that podcast recording at some event where like Palmer Luckey just walked up and sat down for the podcast recording for like an hour.
That actually was my podcast. Yes. It was the very first Ubercast that was ever done. We're digging way in here. But yeah, that's out there somewhere if somebody wants to listen to that. That was recorded at SVVR Expo, Silicon Valley Virtual Reality Expo. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Okay, so hi, everybody. Yes, so we've got some of our regulars here in the live chat. Onakazi, Alex, Butt or something. Adam Hartzell. Actually, Adam asked a question. He wants to know why people in Parliament stand up and sit down randomly. I don't know, but here, I'll do it for you. There, I just stood up, sat down for no reason at all. So that's the answer to that question. Yeah. All right. Do we want to just dig into the news here? Do we have we done enough hemming and hawing? Okay.
I didn't see the super chat fill up with any money, so
I don't think a lot of people are sensitive to your needs, Ian. I don't think that a lot of people.
No, there's a lot of there's a lot of other things that demand your dollars. Yeah. I mean, I would much rather have groceries and stuff than pay some random internet avatar so they could have a bigger storage device on their head.
I think the real reason maybe is that other people want their own headset instead of upgrading
Yeah.
you to a better version of one they might not
No,
even
but
have yet.
I could hand this one down. I can make that pledge. If someone puts a large amount, I can make sure this gets on somebody else's head. So you're
So we
doing
can
good.
pay it forward.
Yeah, we'll pay VR forward. Pay VR forward. That'll be our new hashtag.
Hashtag pay VR forward, where you give your old VR gear to somebody who doesn't have any
So
at
this
all.
is that we're joking here. All right, we're joking, but I honestly think that's going to be a program at Facebook eventually, right? Like hand down your device to a friend. It just makes so much sense.
Yeah,
Or
I
even
could see
some
like
kind of
quests
trade-in.
for tots and things like that. Yeah.
I'm wondering, do they have a metric on the little error message that tells you that the game that you want to download is too big to install? And if so, will they get the highest ever metrics by far today of so many people trying to install Medal of Honor? Because I've just seen mine install, and I have the 256, I've said, and the difference between it and the next biggest game in storage is huge. Resident Evil is at 9 gigabytes, and then Medal of Honor is sitting there installed at 41 gigabytes. So I imagine very few people who buy it will even have the space to install it.
Wow. Yeah, I know that is going to be weird. Luckily with the hand tracking, you can do a big L on your forehead for Ian. Big L is your lack of gigs. I mean,
Yeah.
that is going to be amazing, though. The number of people who were, $300. I got this awesome headset, and I can't wait to play Medal of Honor, and I have to delete literally everything off my headset to be able to play this game. That's Heaney, I want to see that metric too.
I'm very surprised that they didn't go with the route you see on consoles where you download just the multiplayer at start, and then if you want the campaign, you install it on demand. It seems like one of those platform technologies that Meta is really looking to add, and I'm pretty sure they already actually do have that capability. So it's so strange to see them take this approach rather than just let users download the parts of the game they actually want to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's kind of getting at kind of like some of the longer term things here. I mean, we're joking, whining about the storage here. Adam here, talking about me being whiny here. The things Heaney's pointing out here are like, these are underlying technologies that do need to get sorted out for us to have this metaverse that they keep talking about. This thing where the three of us, I was talking to you about this, Kyle, right before we went live, about how, like, our studio here is using the cutting edge of the technologies that are available to us at this time. I've seen people in the comments trying to watch this show, and they're like, I can't stand the avatars. These avatars are just too weird. And like, these avatars are freaking weird. But like, this is a great marker in time for how much better this stuff is going to get with each generation of this technology. So like, we're doing the best with what we have, and that's what's true across the board for VR. The Quest 2 itself, like, they're doing the best they can with $300 worth of hardware on your head. And that's why Kyle and I were talking about earlier, like, what happens when we have $1,000 of hardware on our head and it's still a standalone headset? Like, that's going to be an incredible experience. But there is no way for Kyle, me, and Heaney right now to go and get a game going of mini golf and then go from mini golf straight back to here. Or like to do that with a Steam VR headset as one of these three headsets. Or to have one of us represented as a Ready Player Me avatar and the other two of us as Oculus avatars, and all of us go to these different experiences together. We're literally like trapped in this studio right now, and we can't go anywhere. And it's such a wonderful demonstration for kind of like where we are today with this metaverse vision that everyone is pitching.
Yes, we are trapped in here. So please send help. We're stuck. It's scary. We're stuck. We can't go play golf. Ian, there's a lot of different things that people could really throw a meta fit over. Meta fit. It's probably a real thing. Hey, do you remember? The whole idea of what is that, Tonal and Peloton and stuff? Could I host, and Heaney, I guess, is might be a question for you. Can I host a fitness like Jane Fonda workout here in the studio? Could I have like I could control like everybody do this with me and stuff like that? Should we offer that as UploadVR?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to personally say no, but I'll leave it open to Ian for the final answer on that one.
Okay. I mean, because I need Ian's approval if we're going to do UploadVR presents, Meta Fit with Kyle or something like that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, thanks. I will say that Supernatural and AR is going to be cool. Yeah. I can't wait for the really great pass through and doing those workouts with, I'd be curious to see if we end up with like a fitness focused headset within a year or two.
Yeah. But I could do like, what is it? Richard Simmons, like sweating to the oldies type of thing.
Oh my gosh. Like, so that's one of the things you can do with VR eventually is we could just have like a live channel and we'll just have different random things people are doing in VR and just whatever, just random things like that with these avatars, right? That would be must watch viewing. Everyone will watch that in the future, won't they?
I mean, I like my avatar. I happen to dig this avatar. I like the bow tie. I like the glasses when they're actually on my head and stay, which they have been stable. I don't know. I kind of dig it. It doesn't reflect my hair correctly, but that's okay. Ian, I think your avatar looks just like you. Like, this is exactly what Ian looks like, 100%.
Yeah, how do you think our audience is going to respond when we do switch our avatars one day? Like, I thought about doing subtle changes and seeing if people notice even the subtlest, like, avatar change. But, like, we're going to go from 1.0 to 2.0 or, like, dramatically change. It's just going to be one day people are going to tune in and boom, it's going to look completely different in here with our bodies. And that's going to be really weird, isn't it?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not really sporting the full Leonidas style beard here, and I know Heaney, you surely are not either. I mean, Heaney and I basically had the exact same beard, so
I actually got it to this point for a part of the pandemic, but when it was in the middle of the lockdowns and the hairdressers weren't even open. But no, not anymore. It doesn't look anything like this. Now.
But Heaney, like code wise, this is kind of the thing I was trying to understand. Code wise, there's a toggle in the avatar selection screen when you're making an avatar in the Oculus Home, 1.0 or 2.0. And one of my guests was having trouble actually making the 1.0 recently. Do you expect 1.0 to go away, or is it going to be a toggle in here?
Yeah, well, as we talked about 2 episodes ago, Meta is releasing the 2.0 avatars to all developers in December. So I imagine they'll give a small grace period and then after that take 1.0 out of the Quest system. And they're probably already not even fixing bugs for it. So that's probably what your guest was saying there. Anyway, should we move to the first topic, Kyle? You want to?
I guess the only other observation I want to make is about the hair, because somebody asked in the question, do you make your avatars look like yourself? Currently, as a result of my pandemic hairstyle, no, my hair is not coiffed perfectly like this. As a matter of fact, it's down below my shoulders right now, which is pretty bad, considering it's not as thick on top as it used to be. So I've kind of got that, Gallagher with, smashing the watermelons thing going. But just as a side note, we did Horizon Workrooms as a meeting together, the UploadVR team, and I wanted to give myself a more representative hairdo. And instead of getting something that looked closer to me in real life, I ended up having sort of like Tawny Katane from a Whitesnake music video type of hairdo, which is not. I mean, I would sport that if I could, but no, that's not.
So there's still a lot of tweaking. Religious look to you.
I did. I kind of had a hipster deity look going on, but yeah, okay. Let's get on to the news here. We have a couple things that are more relevant to the industry instead of our pre and in the middle of the show banter. All right, first up on our agenda, Vive Focus 3 gets large area co-location mode and Wi-Fi 6E soon. Vive Focus 3 is getting support for a much larger play area multi-headset co-location, and 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi. I want to start off by saying that I personally have not had the opportunity to try out the Vive Focus 3. I've tried the Focus and the Focus 2, but I have not tried the Focus 3. Ian, have you tried the Vive Focus 3 yourself?
No, I have not. Yeah, it's been a while since I've tried their latest standalones. I tried one pretty early on, and uh, it was interesting, but it was just rudimentary room tracking, basically at that point.
Heaney, what about you? Have you tried any of the Foci?
I tried the original Focus. I didn't get to try the Plus with the controllers, and we've requested a Focus 3 from HTC at some point, but they, obviously there's a chip shortage right now. They have to make decisions on whether they give out units, and that's not something we've got from them yet. But based on the reviews I've seen so far, it seems like an impressive device for what it is, and I think this update coming with the dramatically increases its tracking capabilities will allow it to actually kind of carve out a new market compared to Quest 2. Because, if you're watching, you'll see that diagram up here. You can see the 15 by 15 meter mark. That's where Focus 3 is today before this update. And it's where Quest 2 is as well. But now Focus 3 will be able to track a much larger area. And it's the first standalone VR headset to get co-location. So you can have an arcade or on-location experience where everyone in the room is tracked relative to the same reference point. So you will see the person's avatar where they are in real life. And that's something that's been rumored for Quest for a very long time, since before Quest 2 even came out. But it's something that HTC is now being the first to launch. And the reason that this is significant is because a lot of the experiences that do this today use a backpack PC, which can cost around $3,000 on top of the headset you attach it to. And then they have to use an external tracking system, either Steam VR Lighthouse for smaller installations or OptiTrack for much larger installations, to try and make sure that they keep it all synced up without kind of manual workarounds that don't really work when you're trying to put many, many guests through an experience. So locations that start to use this can have a dramatically lower cost, and that could and hopefully will be reflected in a lower ticket price. Is one of the reasons that location-based VR and VR arcades in general just aren't practical today.
Yeah, so this Vive Focus 3 tracking you from a wide angle, and I mean, it's just it's almost impossible for it to fail as a tracking system. But
I think we're back, Kyle. Here, let's try our fist bump here.
All right, we're gonna try the fist bump again.
Across. Oh, don't hit. Oh, we did it.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Woo. Yeah, we'll give everybody an opportunity to get past the ads. But yeah, so we were talking, Ian and I were just waxing about the OptiTrack system. That's like a $10,000 tracking system. This is definitely not something that's,
it doesn't scale, right? The OptiTrack system is just broken in terms of financial scale. Yeah. And anything that's entirely computer vision focused does scale. I will be curious, the co-location, Heaney, like, I will be really curious to see what the Space Pirate Trainer devs do with this in their hands. They have kind of like a security system in there when you're doing the arena mode and you're both on the same half of the thing. Like you do have like kind of a bubble of warning around you if you come within a certain distance of another headset. I'm curious how this works with the focus features.
Yeah, so with Pirate Trainer Arena, I haven't tried it yet, but my understanding is you manually touch the same point in the center to align yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's just
that's
kind of.
You stand in the
same direction and pull the trigger, and you move out of the space, and another person does it at the same spot.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the most common method of manually doing co-location. So some locations that offer VR experiences like this already do that, but the problem is, if any of those headsets loses their tracking point or drifts off even slightly, or you have to reset them, then you have to do that again, and you have to manually do it each time. So it's not very practical when you're getting people in who aren't really very used to VR, and you want to run a lot of experiences quickly and kind of get through tickets to make an actual viable business out of this. But what we're seeing here with Vive Focus 3's update is that will be entirely automatic. The headsets will remember the room, and they will remember the same reference point, and align themselves together. So by default, without doing any of that calibration step, you will see in an experience that is built to support this, the other avatars in the same physical position as they are in real life. So you can't bump into people because it's doing the same thing but automatically. So I think this will really open up a lot of new possibilities for location-based VR, as well as lowering the cost of it.
So explain to me, Heaney, what magic is in this headset, or is it software, or is it because of the Wi-Fi 6E? What allows them to do the true co-location like this?
So it's nothing hardware. It is a software feature. We actually already see this in Apple's AR kit and Google's AR Core. On screen right now, for reference, it loaded late, but this is just the OptiTrack system that you might see at a typical arcade, where you can see this entire roof-mounted kind of array has to be set up to support these old locations. But with this new technology that Vive's introducing, none of that will be needed. But how it works is, just like in Apple's AR Core and Apple's AR Kit and Google's AR Core, the most common features and the most notable features of your environment when you're looking around are shared between headsets. So they can say, here is the landmark of what these features look like, and can align them together. So it's done in a way to preserve privacy, in that you're never actually sending any imagery between the headsets. There's no video stream being sent, but just by sending a basic point cloud of the most notable features of the room, they can align that space together. And again, this is something we've seen hinted at for years on Quest. It was actually included in the Quest SDK. There's a lot of documentation there that's referencing this feature existing, but it was never shipped to developers. So Vive is the first to do this.
Why do you think that is? Why didn't they ship that?
I have
Any
theories.
speculation?
Ian, I'd like to hear your theory.
No,
really.
The thing that's happening with this Facebook Meta switchover, I think, is rethinking some APIs down to their very core about exactly how they function and what dependencies you kind of have for them. If you had like a co-location API that depended on your Facebook ID, your identity, and your sort of profiling system of how you present yourself from Facebook, then that's not going to work anymore if you switch over to Meta and have to rip up that API. This company is, Facebook is in this transition. Meta is in this transition where there are certain benefits of the previous system where you're requiring your real identity, but there were also losses to that system where you lose your anonymity, and kind of everything you do ends up being attached to this one singular public profile. And now, by going to Meta, there's a shift, a change up to that, to the way that all operates, and things like co-locating. I saw someone on Twitter asking, like, what's the equivalent of, we've talked about it previously here in a different way, but private versus public spaces. And also I'm thinking of like private versus public networks. Do we have a situation where you've got a local area metaverse where anyone that is in the same physical location is able to share certain attributes about themselves, and then in a private space, maybe you don't share any attributes about yourself? But like, I do wonder how Vive Focus 3 is going to work with Quest 2. When are we going to have this system where like you could bring a Quest 2 and a Focus 3 and play Space Pirate Arena together? How's that going to work?
Wait a minute. You have a Quest 2 and a Focus 3. Does that make VR 5? Is that, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I just, well, so let's talk a little bit more about this Vive Focus 3. We have this great multi-headset co-location. We've got faster Wi-Fi, which has its pluses and minuses, and I'm sure that Heaney can dig into this probably more on the technical side. But as far as I understand it, the concept of the 6E Wi-Fi is that it can pump more data faster, but you have to be closer to the router for it to truly be good. I don't know, Heaney, where do you want to go with that area?
Yeah, so the Wi-Fi we see in devices today operates at two different frequency bands. There's the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And as you increase that frequency, as you said, Kyle, you can get a higher bandwidth, but the cost is that it will travel less far and it will penetrate walls less effectively. So once you go to these higher bandwidth, the higher frequency band, that's the trade-off. Now, regulators are just starting to approve a third frequency band for Wi-Fi 6 gigahertz. And confusingly, Wi-Fi 6 is not inherently 6 gigahertz. You need to have this new standard Wi-Fi 6E. And Wi-Fi 6E just indicates that it can operate across those three different frequency bands. And HTC is the first VR headset that we know of that is introducing support for this third band. And that just means that if you have a Wi-Fi 6E router, which I don't think many people have and are probably extremely expensive right now, just like all new technologies, you'll be able to get a better quality PC VR streaming experience than you would today with Airlink or Virtual Desktop over the 5 gigahertz band that almost everyone currently only has access to.
I hope Guy is tuned in. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully this is something that Guy wouldn't need to support, for example. It would just be something that as long as you're connected to your router, if Virtual Desktop supported Focus 3, which it does not today, to be clear, if Virtual Desktop did support Focus 3, you would be able to get this improved experience. We know that HTC has its own PC VR streaming system built into Focus 3, but how that actually compares on a software level to Guy's, we don't know yet, and then we can't really speculate. But the one thing I would just note here is that if you're in any other country than the US, this doesn't apply to you because no other regulators have even finalized the approval of the 6 gigahertz band for Wi-Fi yet.
So my key question here is if you have a phone that's 6E compatible, what is the likelihood that can manage the link between phone and headset and do some split rendering there?
You want the phone to do the rendering? I don't know of any phones that support 6E. Again, it's hard to tell because we didn't even know that Focus 3 supported 6E. This was obviously a capability that was sitting there dormant, ready to go once they had software and regulatory approval for it. I think the important question is for PC VR streaming is whether affordable routers and access points that support 6E will be on the market soon. Because there's not really going to be much of an advantage if you're just casting your view to your phone versus today. 5 gigahertz connections and the current bandwidth we have is reliable enough for that.
Is this a special chip in the Focus 3 that the Quest 2 does not have that allows this type of superior Wi-Fi connection?
It's unlikely that there's any special chip. We'd need to check which antennas the devices are using. It's more of a matter of the antenna than the chip itself. The Focus 3 uses the same Qualcomm XR2 chip, which has a Wi-Fi, I can't remember the word for it, but I'll use modem for lack of a better word right now, Wi-Fi modem in it. So as long as they have a 6 gigahertz antenna, which Focus 3 clearly has, then it should be able to be used. We can check the FCC listing to see if Quest 2 has that. But again, I'm not sure even Focus 3 had that. I'm pretty sure this is one of those things where they have to go through regulatory approval again.
So there's a lot of conversation going on in the live chat right now about this in relation to WiGig. And there was sadly it's Bradley. Yeah, I watched one of his videos recently that attempted to explain all this. This is not WiGig. I don't even think this is considered WiGig 2.
Correct. This is not WiGig or WiGig 2. I think the confusion in the comments there is that this is 6 gigahertz, but WiGig is 60 gigahertz, as in 60 gigahertz. So it goes way, way, way higher frequency and can deliver a much, much, much higher bandwidth signal. But the cost of 60 gigahertz is that it can't even penetrate any solid object. So if you put your hand in the way of the transmitter in the headset, you can block the signal. And you can see that in the current HTC Vive adapter. So just to be very clear, this is 6 with no 0 after it, gigahertz,
He's throwing
whereas
some
those are
wireless knowledge your
60
way.
gigahertz.
He's
And the
basically
problem,
rapping and yeah, he's getting. You keep going.
Irish rapper.
yeah, no, I was just going to say the reason you can't put 60, Onakazi's correct to say 60 gigahertz is so bad at penetrating walls that you would call it a line of sight technology. You need direct line of sight to the transmitter. And also with today's technology, the transmitter needs to be this huge, big thing that you stick on your wall. Whereas Wi-Fi 6E will be able to be integrated into the same kind of devices that have Wi-Fi today. So routers that are, reasonably sized and devices the size of a VR headset. Because if you look at that 60 gigahertz adapter that's used on the Vive Pro and the normal Vive, it's a giant big thing you have to attach to the top of your head. It's not just a little extra antenna that's put beside the 5 gigahertz antenna.
Yeah, no, I have that set up, and I have the WiGig card and put it into my PC and set up the antenna. And curious enough, I took, because the antenna itself, it has kind of a little dongle, maybe put it like a webcam on top of your monitor. And I ended up taking the base off of an OG sensor. I shouldn't say camera, sensor from my CV1, my Oculus Rift CV1, and it slid right on there perfectly and sat down on my desk. But man, talk about needing. It is super finicky. It needs perfect line of sight. And like you said, Heaney, you do a little jazz hands in front of it, which watch me screw my tracking up while I try to do jazz hands. It blocks, it renders poorly. It's not a great wireless solution for PCVR, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, I stopped using it almost immediately. I gave it a sporting chance and then went, okay, never mind. Yeah,
I'm still gonna, I guess, just throw it out there that I think these types of technologies, it takes both ends to get upgraded to the latest generation of the Wi-Fi for you to have any kind of use cases that start to become interesting. Sometimes there's an exception to that rule, but I'm really curious once you get the routers as well as other devices supporting the same standard, what kind of interesting functionality we might see.
So there's all sorts of wonderful, new, exciting things that Vive Focus 3 is going to have. And I've seen some other features of this headset that I find very appealing, like the ability to upgrade the internal storage with a micro SD card. It's got some things that make it nice. How much is this headset, Ian?
So it's priced almost like $1,000 more than a Quest. Like that's always how I think of it, right, Heaney?
Yeah, it's $1,299, exactly 1,000 more than a Quest. But it's important to note that in price includes a business license and warranty. And if you add a business license and warranty to Quest 2, it is $700.
This is a enterprise headset. For a lack of any other good description, it's an enterprise headset that is being given gaming advantages through some of these things. It's being shown on social media with gaming stuff, but it's an enterprise I'm confused at who the target audience for this headset is.
Well, in this context, in a VR arcade, it would be gaming, but it would be offered through the company.
But I'm still wondering who the target audience for this headset is. Because, Ian, you wanted money to go out and get a bigger gig's worth of... Ian, are you frozen? I feel like Ian's frozen.
I think
he's just sitting here looking at me with his head cocked like a puppy dog. Okay.
While we're waiting for Ian, I just checked online for if Wi-Fi 6E routers are available with 6 gigahertz yet. So some were just released in the past few months. The cheapest one I could find in stock was $500. So yeah, as Ian was saying, this is one of those things to really see advantages. There's going to be in the coming years that people see this, but VR streaming is probably the perfect example of what 6 gigahertz can actually do for Wi-Fi in terms of increasing it. And I'm sure that in the coming years, any wireless PC headset that uses Airlink and virtual desktop style streaming will support it. But just to sort of answer your question, yeah, it's offered to businesses and not end users. But a business can be an intermediary to the end users. It's just HTC doesn't want to be there yet, at least not in the standalone room scale space.
Onakazi makes a point. I wouldn't think of co-location like this to be purely gaming focused. Now, Heaney, did you create this graphic, or did this graphic come from Vive directly?
I just took the three graphics from Vive directly: their logo, their picture for co-location, and their space thing.
All right, so I'm going to stand up here in front of Stevie, and I'm just gonna say that wherever this company that is enterprise focused, I want to work for this company that is taking this advantage. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? This image is saying entertainment games, or it's the coolest enterprise company to work for. I mean, Ian, am I wrong here? Am I over exaggerating my point?
Yeah. It's so going full circle with our sort of opening banter on just the cost of these devices. Kind of like the developers themselves are going to want the cheapest hardware because they know the customers are going to get the cheapest hardware. So, like, I don't. Heaney and I were sort of joking, like, even if you went and bought a $40,000 gold-plated iPhone, it's still going to functionally be the same device that you can get for $1,000, and you can't actually functionally get a better iPhone just because of the way laws of very large numbers work on building that many devices. And I just I wonder when we're going to have this kind of, like, I want that experience to be like, I want this to be more common, but it's not. It's such a far-fetched thing, this co-located experience you're talking about here, Kyle. Like, I don't see anyone spending $3,000 or what was it, $3,900 for three people to go and do paintball together in a large open field. But I do see three people potentially spending under $1,000 to have that same experience.
So now you have and James here as a rebuttal to my comment. He says, I mean, isn't a VRcade an enterprise of sorts? Yes, but it's a very teeny tiny corner of, because I mean, how many VRcades are actually open right now? How many people are going to take advantage of this? I remember when we talked about Space Pirate Arena and the number of people who are going to take advantage of this right now currently is very small. But at a $300 headset, you could see somebody going out and at least attempting it at one point when this situation presents itself. But how many people are going to buy a $1,000+ headset for the same functionality that a $300 one will have, but slightly more? I find that that's a very narrow target audience. And that's where I'm constantly confused at some of the headsets that are on the market right now. We're going to talk about another headset here in a little bit. Who is the target audience for this specific piece of hardware? I'm constantly confused at some of this. Yeah.
I mean, I did the whole thing where I tried to think through the economics of a virtual reality arcade, of trying to think through, okay, I've got 4 stations and we can have potentially 4 people at a time renting these things out for so much time. And the thing that was always like a wired system, the benefit of having a wired system is it's more reliable. You don't ever have to think about interference or a lot of the things that can happen with a wireless stream going between like your PC and your headset, or like all the things that go wrong with wireless systems. It's quite significant. And Kyle, I mean, even like you and me, we were literally inside the void during its like last legs, weren't we? Didn't we go inside Jumanji and it broke down on us in the middle of this thing walking around? Like,
I remember we were stuck. We were on this like precipice, and there was supposed to be this big like aha moment that was supposed to occur. And we're standing there, and we had other people from the team, and we're like going, "Okay, here it comes," and the suspense, and it's building, and it's building, and it's building, and I'm like, is somebody like supposed to do something here? What's going on?
yeah,
It had
like it's like
frozen.
imagine like a movie like Infinity War, like Endgame, and you've got the big final battle, and like imagine Thanos is walking up to the battle and he's gonna fight all the other Avengers, but instead of actually going to the next scene where you see the Avengers, it's just him doing the walking thing over and over and
Forever.
over again
Yeah.
for like a good minute, and that was what it was
Mhm.
like for us all on these pedestals in VR, watching this moment pause in the middle of the void. That these things can't go wrong when you've got this many people going through them on a daily basis. And that's like, even if this thing works at the scale that they're suggesting, it just can never go wrong. It just cannot fail.
Well, I would say that using standalone headsets like this, just because it's such a lockdown kind of streamlined operating system designed around the specific hardware, will probably be more reliable than the current backpack PC setups that you see. Because a lot of those issues are in that kind of backpack PC form factor, interfacing with Windows, interfacing with Steam VR, and there's a lot of room to go wrong in those links.
You have handheads. That was creepy.
You had hands coming out of your ears. That was the coolest thing I had ever seen in the studio.
That is very strange. I think my light flickered for a second there. It might have been.
No, what I'm saying is like, okay, imagine you've got like a front desk at like a museum and you're just handing out these quests and people can go explore the entire museum. The last thing you want is them to get 4 rooms away and then have this thing lose tracking and they've got to bring the headset back to the front desk and exchange it for another one. That's what I mean when things can go wrong.
Well, if you look at this kind of image, you can see the hint at how they're going to avoid that. The patterns that you see on the walls and on the floors are no accident. Those are very high contrast, differentiated patterns that an inside-out tracking system would love. This drawing here is the ideal environment for an inside-out tracking system. So if the museum looked anything like this, there'll almost certainly be no tracking issues, I would say.
Right. So when you have this type of tracking, the absolute best place to go is a 1990s era Nickelodeon Double Dare studio. It would give you the best, the absolute best. You know, if you could somehow turn a Solo cup inside out and do VR inside of it, you'd get the best tracking possible.
Double Dare, man! You just took me back to my childhood. Stop doing like the nostalgia. I don't like it when you go into my nostalgia, Kyle.
Well, maybe we should do a upload VR. And then, so when you do get that headset, you can't tell anybody. Wait, are we back on? Wait, hold on. Are we back on? Did I say something I shouldn't have? Live? Uh-oh. I hope not. Okay. I feel a little embarrassed now because what did I say? Uh-oh. Oh man,
I hope that worked. It's really hard, but I mean, if that worked as well as you meant it to, the timing on that was just perfect. I mean,
thank you.
He was trying to pretend that I got my hands on a top secret headset, and unfortunately, I don't have my hands on that top secret headset. But it was perfectly timed by Kyle to make you feel that we did.
Yeah, so I do want to do a Double Dare show though. I think that would be fun. The physical challenge. You know, hell, we could even get HTC to sponsor it, and we can do the whole thing in co-location, big studio. Look, they've already got it all set up here. These kids are just waiting to do the physical challenge. I can just see it right here. All right. Well, eventually Heaney will come back. Yes, we were talking about nostalgia. It's a lot of fun to think that we could do things like this. Or Jeopardy. How about Jeopardy? Do you watch Jeopardy, Ian?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You do. You've got your avatar has what is it? One of the celebrity. I guess it's an Alex Trebek look. Is that Alex Trebek?
should I do one of like just the mustache? I could, no, I don't want to do that. But yes, I would absolutely host Jeopardy inside VR. Man, that's a good idea. How come where's the game shows in VR?
Yeah. Well,
anybody doing
I
that?
tried one. There was one, there was one that really tried it out, I think, on PC VR, and it just was it was the worst possible timing where they're trying to build like a community on VR headsets when it was just, you're just tooth and nail fighting against it, and it was just a failed. I don't think that thing survived, but there was like a game show in VR.
Yeah. Well, Heaney, we're going to need you to build in the studio here, maybe over here to the behind me, a Jeopardy board that I can host Jeopardy.
Sure, I've
Hear
heard
a
of
scoff. I heard it.
Jeopardy
I
in
heard it
VR
all the
chat.
way from Ireland. His just little,
Yeah.
complete disgust. It was,
Honestly, there's a lot more going on in VR chat than a lot of people realize. If you can think of it, somebody's probably already doing it in VR chat right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I will go and find. VR chat has a fully functional Jeopardy world.
Yeah.
Ash Tree 81. All right. Well, I will go host a round of Jeopardy.
That's why the metaverse sucks. That's why it's bull crap. It doesn't exist. Kyle, if the metaverse was real, if it existed, Kyle read that comment, boom, you're gone. You just go.
Right. I'd be like, all right, everybody, I'm out, and off I go to Jeopardy.
Yeah,
and then I'm standing
That's how
at the
metaverse
podium.
is supposed to work.
All right.
Yeah, James.
Okay.
O'Loughlin,
we
I was
do.
going to say James O'Loughlin's right to say Altspace also had a game show. I remember it. I remember attending it once. It was a lot of fun. Altspace does great events. It's more of a focused application for events specifically, and some of them turn out great.
Mm-hmm. Microsoft pay you to say that? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I used Altspace long before Microsoft acquired it.
Yeah, I did too. Altspace had its values. I mean, each of the social platforms had its own unique things that it offered. So it's good stuff. Great communities, by the way, just in every single one of the social platforms. Okay, let's get into this second piece of news that we have. You guys ready? All right, here we go. DecaGear to Pivot reveals high costs and late 2022 shipping. VR hardware startup Megadodo Games announced a strategic pivot, warning of inflated component costs and long pre-order shipping delay for DecaGear. Now, I want to just say I do feel really bad for every headset manufacturer, any technology manufacturer right now, for the unfortunate lack of components. It's just nothing else that can be said. There has been a record scratch halt on a lot of technological innovations because of the lack of silicon. Ian, what is your take on just the lack of silicon?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. Yes, all right. So boo-hoo, very bad, very tough for so many people. My question here, Heaney, please refresh my memory here. Is this the company that like you popped on to our chat group one day and you're like, they got this new VR headset they announced and it's this and this, and I spent a good like couple hours saying, prove to me this is real. And like I eventually ended up finding the co-founder on LinkedIn. Is that, am I remembering all that right?
Yeah, and we checked his past, and his past was that he'd worked in like 5 different adware and spyware companies, and that's how he made his money. And he explained to us that it was actually okay at the time because Google and Yahoo were the ones paying for it, so therefore it's okay. Which, I mean, I guess that's fair. That's how the world works. If a big company's doing it, it's automatically ethical. So I'll accept that explanation.
Okay, well, all right. So that's that's the unvarnished. Like, this is how we heard about this headset. This is what we tried to investigate and find contact with these people. And if they want to come onto our show and explain to us more about what's going on there, they can. But like, Megadodo, why would you be called Megadodo?
Yeah, I never got the name. Every time I go to write about them, I always start with hardware startup DecaGear, and then I realized, no, wait a minute, that's just the product name. They're named Megadodo Simulation Games because...
What was the other one? DecaBrick? They're going to come out with a DecaBrick?
DecaBrick OS, yes. I think they need...
Yeah, that was their operating system, yeah.
No.
I don't know. I mean, Mega Dodo, the dodo bird has been extinct for quite a while. Thank you, mankind. I don't know. I mean, should they pivot and change their name to Meta Dodo now?
Oh no. Oh no.
Somewhere out there, what's his name? Ord Kuntzman or something like that. The guy who started all this, the guy we're talking about, he's going, Metadodo, that's great. We're gonna do that. I hope not. Please don't do that.
That's the pivot. That was the pivot all along.
That is the pivot. And here's the is this it? Yeah, I guess it is. Doesn't look like any other headset. Yeah. So there would be right now, in my opinion, this is purely my opinion. If there hadn't been a pandemic, if there hadn't been a shortage of silicon, I believe that we would have had, I don't want to say a flood, but a fair amount of other headsets hit the market right now to give people the options. Now, this is purely PC VR. There is no mobile, there's no SoC. This is just PC headset, right?
So it is marketed and sold and intended for now as currently PC, but there actually is, for some bizarre reason, a full SoC in this thing.
There is?
So, yes, Mega Dodo have indicated that they want to use it for wireless without a 60 gigahertz transmitter needed. They've suggested that it could in the future be standalone, and I guess that's maybe what the Deca Brick OS in the long-term future is talking about. But given the kind of context of the news here, and just if no one's heard it, it's that the founder has essentially said they cannot ship this product at scale at the $450 price that they announced. They will fulfill that for the pre-orders, but this will not be a $450 product. Given that, and given that his estimate for the viable price is now $700, maybe putting in an entire SoC in a PC VR headset wasn't the greatest idea in the first place?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe not. But the challenge for the DecaGear and other headsets that are out there is that it's going to show up to the game very, very late and might not be a viable candidate.
Now is not the time. Yeah,
for consumers,
tried to put
right?
that word of warning in as many of these articles as we can. Heaney and I have gone back and forth on it lots of times when we cover about these things. If it's a Kickstarter, if it's a pre-order system, if the thing isn't literally ready to go out the door with a production ready, and they've got a bunch of them in a warehouse ready to go, you're potentially entering a very bad time for yourself.
So if you throw all of that you just said at a headset like, let's say, the Lynx R1, does that jive in a way that's going to be a challenge for them as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it right now. Remember, I backed the VR Ears Kickstarter back when Quest 1, I think, was out. I think they were pretty early there with their Kickstarter. And I didn't get it until a couple weeks ago, so far into the Quest 2's ecosystem, Quest 2's life. And so it's common, if you're going to buy a Kickstarted accessory for a VR headset, you shouldn't realistically expect that thing to arrive before your headset is potentially end of life or ready to be replaced by something new. And that's how fast this stuff is moving. And if you're making a headset itself, it's exactly what you said. You're potentially behind the curve by a generation when you actually ship the thing, if you actually ever ship the thing. It's kind of like this thing we've always heard about with video games over the years. If you take too long to ship the video game, you kind of have to you've missed a generation, and you kind of have to go back and retool things, and then it costs them so much more money, and why even do it in the first place? And yeah.
So I would caution a difference in kind of categorizing Deca with Lynx. I think, my impression of Lynx is that they're a much more serious company with more experienced hardware engineers that are used to this. They have a close partnership with Qualcomm. Notably, Lynx has said that they've actually placed their component orders years in advance, so they are not kind of beholden to the current chip shortage issue of Deca. I think I'm not going to say Mega Dodo each time. I guess I have to. I think Mega Dodo kind of maybe underestimated the challenge here, and there was definitely a bit of hubris in their initial announcement that we're going to ship a headset that is essentially the $600 HB Reverb G2, but also with face tracking, eye tracking, a hip tracker, and a few other extra features like finger detection sensing on the controllers for $450. You know, if they had come out and said, we want to do this for $700 in the place, I think we would have had a much more kind of understanding reception there. But it's why would they set such a high target of that price point and then not make sure that they actually had the component orders in place and the partnerships needed to make that real? I don't think Lynx is in the same situation, but obviously you should still be cautious of hardware Kickstarters in general, yes.
I feel like a lot of these headsets that are announced but never came out, or they're delayed because of the silicon shortage, or they do this or they do that, you have to ask yourself, is this a product that is answering, providing a solution to a problem that nobody else has provided yet? And is that still a problem? A PC VR headset is, in my opinion, not needed right now. Now, I'm not saying that PC VR is dead. I'm just saying that a only PC VR headset is not needed right now. We don't need a new one unless it's coming out at $50 and does everything that the Quest 2 does right now.
All right, Heaney, I want to put you on the spot here. And Kyle, can we have like a special, an episode where we say like our perfect VR headset of 2022? Like, can we just go down the specs, each one of us, what we think should be in the perfect headset next year? Because like that's what we debate in and out on a daily basis.
That seems like some good end of year content. But just to kind of go back on your point there, Kyle, of is there a place for this headset? You don't think there's a kind of big gap between the $300 Quest 2 and the $1,000+ Index and Vive Pro 2? Do you not think there's a gap there for a headset that kind of gives you not Meta, but without being $1,000 and having panels with resolution from 2 years ago? HB Reverb kind of does it.
You're asking the wrong question. Yes, there is a gap there between technologies. I'm talking about the gap in need or demand or you know, who is that person that wants to buy that gap?
The PC obscures it, right? The PC is this thing that like it's required for entry. You're limiting yourself to a certain group of people by having that PC be there. And you're opening yourself up to such a wider set of people if you go standalone. And I think that's kind of the hint here is like you could have PC VR headsets in lots of different configurations, but what's going to move the needle forward in the PC like side of things? Is this the right kind of like combination of features, or is the only path forward standalone going forward? Yeah.
So let me present Heaney this scenario. I am a PC VR like absolute fanboy. I have a computer that's running a 3090 Ti, super top secret 4080 Ti, like super amazing high-end computer. Why do I want to buy a $450 PC VR headset when I could totally go and get an Index?
And it's not that price anymore.
Well, because
it won't ship.
Because the Index has very low resolution compared to even the cheapest headsets today. I maybe this is a controversial thing to say, but I really don't think that 2.5 years on, the Index is still a good buy simply because of that compromised resolution. This thing is higher resolution than Quest 2. It's got the same resolution as Reverb G2. It would be night and day to look into an Index and to look into this. So I think people are looking for a headset that actually is updated after that 2.5 years the Index has been on the market, but that isn't from Meta or that doesn't cost $1,000. Because if Index had seen price reductions over time, maybe we could talk differently about that. But the fact that Valve I don't think the index is still a good buy at $1,000, and I do think there's a place for another company to come in at 600, 700, and 800 and present something that is updated for modern standards.
Yeah, and I do agree that it would be fun to come into the studio and just everybody yak about their wish lists, the Christmas lists, the wish lists, dear Santa or holiday deity of your choice. What do you want? What does Kyle want to get in his stocking or under his holiday uh, bush? What would be the ultimate, and what would be the price, and who would make it, and what software would it run, and what kind of computer would I need to run it if it's connected? And I mean, it's a big conversation to have. So maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, I think people would love that. I think it's because I think about these rumors we're hearing about Meta and the face tracking, and I'm absolutely convinced that eye tracking is fundamentally a feature of next generation VR. And when you have experienced a VR headset with great eye tracking, I think it'll be very hard to go back to headsets without them. But I'm not certain the same is going to be true for the face tracking sensors. Like, there are too many occasions where I would very much like Kyle not to know that I'm frowning at him, to never ever want to accidentally have that feature broadcasting my expressions.
Ian, I just assume you're always frowning at me. So
I would assume that, like today, when you go into an app, it requests your microphone permission. There probably will be a permission they have to request for your face tracking. But if you look at the most played apps on Quest and on Steam VR, the VR and Rec Room and the other social platforms are right up at the top. They're always in the top 5. You always have an incredibly high number of people playing VR chat. Meta has gone on record as saying that they were surprised by the popularity of these social apps. So I do think there is a demand for face tracking. And if you look at Megadodo's marketing for this DecaGear, a lot of it has been around VR chat, and that audience who go in and they see, their influencers and some of the kind of power users already using facial tracking add-ons and think, I want to use that too, as well as obviously full body tracking and the other kinds of tracking that get at it.
So I don't know who wants to start writing this a while, but either Ian or Heaney, in the future, one of you, or maybe it'll be Jamie, maybe it'll be Harry. I don't know, but somebody will have to write the article about the demand to suppress the facial recognition in all of these new headsets, because people don't want, just like Ian, you said, nobody wants to see Ian frown all the time.
Yeah, no. So I've got an editorial that I sort of started this morning. I'll see how long it takes. You guys are both frozen. I don't know if I'm looking okay. Am I looking okay to everyone out there?
You're moving around. I'm not.
It seems fine. I saw bad network in the corner of your tablet for a second, so I guess you just have packet loss. But we can hear you fine. Keep going.
All right. Well, the rest of the reality is frozen to me, so that's a weird situation. It's like I'm talking to frozen time right now. Yeah. The thing I guess I'll just throw in there is that, like, I'll be curious to see what prices we arrive at for all these things, because, like, what Heaney's saying is right. It's just if the facial sensors add any to the base cost of the sort of entry level system, that's not high on my list, right? Of, like, broadcasting my face over the internet. And I wanted Heaney's gonna get mad at me because I was like, I want to talk about co-location on the show because it's like the biggest, most important thing. But Heaney in last week's show said that I should be able to go into FaceTime on a Quest because it's a progressive web app. And I did. I attempted it, and I was able to bring up a FaceTime link in the Oculus browser window and, like, see a FaceTime video call play out in a browser window on a Quest. And it's just one more step to be able to let that browser window access my avatar from my headset and represent myself from VR on a Quest, a Meta Quest, as an avatar to FaceTime, to Apple's FaceTime system. And again, I've just described what this stupid Metaverse thing that everyone is talking about, it actually needs to do in order for it to actually be true and actually to work. but I need to be able to like do a FaceTime call from a Quest and represent myself as an avatar from a different company. And it's so close. They
No.
just need to kind of enable it.
No, I'm not going to do FaceTime in my VR headset until what they can see is the Tony Stark inside the Iron Man suit with all the cool like overlays. That is what I want to show up on my FaceTime. If it's anything other than that, if it's some avatar of me, doing whatever, I don't want that.
You don't want to be
the
the Apple baby avatar. All right, I'm going to head out and come right back in so I can see you guys again.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, while Ian's gone there, I just want to maybe go over the specific news more clearly. There's been a few comments here talking about it, and I think we forgot to actually kind of mention what DecaGear's announcement really said. If I just scroll up here, one of the commenters has said, I think they've changed the price to $700. Let's be clear about what Deca has said here. They've basically said, we're going to ship the pre-orders, the 10,000 pre-orders to people who want it late next year, Q4 2022, for the $450 price that was agreed. However, they cannot actually then ship that as a wider scale product at $700. So their plan is, and they haven't given any specific details yet, they've only sort of vaguely hinted at it, is that they're going to start talking to other device makers to see if they can produce and sell the device presumably at a lower cost than $700, but potentially still not as low as $450. And they've hinted that there's going to be some sort of pivot here, whatever that means. Hopefully we'll get more details next week, but essentially, while the pre-orders will be fulfilled, this will not be able to become a wide-scale product because the co-founder specifically said, I do not want to sell expensive hardware, and referenced $700 as expensive.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead, and my opinion in my prediction is that that's not going to happen. That those people will not see those headsets.
The 10,000 pre-orders.
I watched 6 Sense with their STEM system, hem and haw for years.
You're getting a similar vibe from the messaging, aren't you?
Exactly. And they ended up giving the money back to everybody because that was the right thing to do. And, Amir, I love you to death. Please don't come after me for bringing you up. But I really wanted that hardware. I still want that hardware. But it was unrealistic to think that they were going to be able to do that. And 6 Sense pivoted as well and changed their the way that they talked about what they were going to offer, and then they're going to offer a different version, and they're going to offer a different version. Ultimately, just gave everybody their money back and went, sorry. So what is that? What is that red light? Sorry, no, I'm kidding. But seriously, I don't think that anybody's ever going to have a DecaGear on their head. That's my opinion.
I think, to be clear, they haven't actually taken the full funding. The idea is that you give $10, and then once it ships, they take the other $440. So even if they don't ship, people will be out of at most $10 each. So I don't think it'll be the end of the world for those people. I think $10 was low enough that people are willing to risk that to hopefully get this product.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to lose any sleep over $10, but still. I mean, the amount of obligation that Megadodo feels right now, I just don't. I don't know. It's unfortunate. I mean, they are a victim of the current situation: pandemic, silicon shortage. In a different parallel, what if universe? This is a headset that we've been talking about and reviewing on a regular basis. Who knows?
I think this is one of those things that is half their fault and half the chip shortage. The problem is they set an unrealistic target. They tried to put far too many components and capabilities into a $450 device, but simultaneously the chip shortage meant that even if they had have been able to pull off something similar, it wasn't practical. So they probably should have aimed for something more reasonable, either a higher price or remove some components. But yeah, as you say, it is very unfortunate for all of these small companies that they can't compete, because one of the things the founder referenced in this post is that he said the bigger companies can put in their orders and they'll get put to the front of the line and they'll get all of the kind of help that they need to get their components to their products. Whereas small startups like this, they're basically told, you're at the back of the line, and investors don't want to risk helping them out because they say, I can't see any practical ends of this chip shortage. I don't want to risk my money. So he is stuck in a hard place.
Yeah, I do have some sympathy for the Mega Dodo company.
I've used that meme on Twitter, but if I would love Heaney if you can somehow get Jiffy Cat or Jiffy somehow. I don't know how. I know I can't ask Heaney to do weeks of work for a feature, but I need to be able to show GIFs or GIFs in here. But like that image of Doctor Strange saying we're in the end game now, like that is literally where we are. If you aren't in a place to ship a headset and have those components lined up 6 months or a year in advance, you're kind of out of the game. You don't stand a chance. And that's what this note was kind of warning people, was like it's so hard on anyone that isn't meta-sized.
Metastasized? What?
Metastasized. Yeah, I know.
That's
pretty appropriate.
Yes, Ian did say GIFs, and so do I. We are Team GIF, aren't we, Ian?
Yeah, I do say GIF. Sometimes I say GIF just to throw some chaos out into the world.
I don't ever say it. I only say GIF. But that's not the point of this conversation at all. We're talking about XR, VR, AR, QR, PR, all the R's. Hold on. I forgot. I got to stand up occasionally and then just sit back down because parliamentary procedure demands that I do so. Oh, man. Jason Rains says, you guys are cute when you're wrong. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's nice. Okay.
I'm willing to be wrong about GIFs. Yeah.
Well, you can't be wrong about something like that. Okay,
I'm on Team GIF.
You are on Team GIF.
Yeah.
I'll have to. Don't give me the reason. I don't care.
I don't even have a reason. Just because you two are on Team GIF, that's my reason.
Okay. Contrary. I like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is the thing. Yeah, this is how debates go at UploadVR, right? Like,
pretty much.
I don't care.
This is a normal meeting for us. Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. You're wrong. I don't care that you're wrong. Okay, so the sometimes glasses. Yes, this is a hot debate. This is a hot debate on our show. Is why do my glasses come in and out? And there's a very technical reason, and I'm not going to ask Heaney to explain it because he explained it to me. And at the end of it all, I was like, I really don't care. I just want the glasses. So, yes, this is a premium deluxe. Superior quality glasses that only appear when I need to look at something, and that's just a feature that you're just going to have to work with. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Yes, so this has been another wonderful conversation. We do this every Monday at noon Pacific here in the studio. This is to answer the question that gets asked all of the time. This is our studio. This isn't one of the social media platforms. Heaney designed the Upload Virtual Studio specifically for us to use, and it is a wonderful piece of technology that we really do enjoy. We use this for all of our interviews, and we use this for our Thursday Gamecast, and we've got Stevie the TV back here, and we've got Patty the pads in front of us. I realize there's 3 pads, so are they all named Patty but maybe spelled a little differently, I-E or Y or D's or T's? I don't know, but we do really enjoy doing this. And one of the reasons we do this live in the studio is so we can have the conversations with you, our lovely, dedicated audience, who comes into the chat and has civil discourse with us and gives us wonderful points and reminds us when we're off topic and we need to go back in and actually explain the news piece instead of just yucking it up amongst ourselves. So with all that being said, Ian, do you have any parting words of wisdom for our lovely audience today?
People are asking when they're going to get into our studio. That's a question for Heaney, and he'll just say sometime.
Yeah. Well, that's the typical developer answer, right? Soon. 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think the only words of advice I have out there for you is if you've got any family or friends who are on the fence thinking about getting VR, in particular thinking about getting a Quest 2, I would very much tell them to get their credit cards ready, watch. Facebook has had a history of doing big things on Black Friday.
Who's Facebook?
I know Meta is probably going to try to come out swinging with the Quest 2 this year around Black Friday, I would bet. And so just be ready, and we'll have those deals up if and when they happen.
It'll be exciting. Yeah. Heaney, any parting words of wisdom for our audience this week?
No, just once again, it's good to have this quality of discussion. Good to hear a lot of people's views about Wi-Fi 6E, about co-location, and I'm looking forward to see what gets announced in the next week and to discuss it next week. And everyone should tune into Gamescast on Thursday to talk about Medal of Honor on Quest, which actually crashed my headset at the start of this episode when it just finished installing.
Oh, wait,
so that's why you blinked out.
Yeah, just as like I remember seeing it. It went Medal of Honor is finished installing, and I crashed straight out. I assume it must be the RAM that it takes to unpack it.
Oh,
yeah. And speaking of unpacking, definitely check out Gamescast when they unpack Medal of Honor. And
I love that. I love it when Heaney like figures out how much RAM he has left in his reality. Like that's the level we're thinking about virtual reality at. Heaney's counting up the RAM he has left.
See, every time I try to tally up my RAM, I end up finding a memory leak, and that just ruins my whole day. So I just don't want that to happen. Okay, so like my colleagues had alluded to, there is all sorts of fun, potential, exciting things that could come up tomorrow, next week, the day after tomorrow. Who knows? Check out. Keep open on a tab in one of your browsers because you've got like 30 tabs open right now. Why not make one of them UploadVR.com? So that way you can always keep up on the latest news, reviews, comments, and interviews. Also, go check out I never point this out, but go follow us on Twitter. Go to our social medias, Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't really use LinkedIn other than to get rid of the notifications on my phone.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Get the little one, just like got to get rid of the one. Let's go look at the LinkedIn notifications.
Oh, Ian, I'll send you a screenshot. I've got more than just one on mine.
No, man. I've seen those people that have like 40,000 unread emails,
Yep.
Don't do
That's
that.
Me.
Come on, fix yourself.
That's me. Nope. Not going to happen. But anyway, keep a tab open on UploadVR.com so that way you can keep tabs on what's going on in the industry. Check out our YouTube channel. Lots of fun stuff, trailers, interviews, just all sorts of amazing things. There's plenty to check out. So YouTube, UploadVR channels, because there's more than one out there. And subscribe, tell your devices to give you notifications, all that stuff that YouTubers and influencers and content creators do that seem to work for them, 6-digit views versus our measly 4.
Oh, no.
Sometimes 5.
They told us not to beg, Kyle.
They did. They said not to beg.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not begging. See, my hands, I can't even put my hands together to beg because the tracking won't allow it. I can't even go, please. All right, everyone. It's been a wonderful show. Lots of silly discourse and a lot of really relevant information for you to consume. Thank you all very much for watching. And for those of you on the podcast, thanks for listening. We'll see you in the future.